You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, an interesting lineup this week for the SEC. We talked about how there's been a couple of dud lineups. There might be some weird stuff that happens because there's no such thing as a dud lineup. But after Ole Miss played LSU that week where several big games were on the menus, it just went down and it went down. Well, this week appears to be a pretty major week. And this week, looking at the 8 games on the slate, starting out with LSU and Vanderbilt, Vanderbilt is actually favored by 1.5 points in that game. That's interesting to me. It just is. It is interesting to me. Because if LSU can't get any offense going, if they can't get turnovers in the game that create short fields, Vanderbilt is going to be difficult to play. The game is in Nashville. They're going to be extremely jazzed up. They played pretty well against Alabama, but I imagine Clark Lee is going to have Vanderbilt ready to go. If LSU gets past this game, hey, everything kind of settles a little bit for the Bayou Bengals. But if Vanderbilt can win this game, all of a sudden you have to talk about Vanderbilt in the playoff all over again, and it will be quite funny to see exactly what happens. Oklahoma is at South Carolina. Oklahoma is a 5.5 point favorite at South Carolina. The game is on 12:45 Eastern time on the SEC Network. If you look at Oklahoma, they did not look good in the River rivalry. They just didn't. They looked pretty bad. South Carolina did not look good in their game at Tiger Stadium. This is a match between two teams that have not looked good this season. Or not this season, but the last week. These two teams getting together, whichever one gets right is going to likely win this game. I would prefer if Oklahoma would not get right, at least for a couple of weeks. You can get right about the Tennessee game whenever you're playing in Neyland Stadium. But Ole Miss needs to win one of 3 road games for the playoffs to become there. You know, you hold serve at home, you win 1 out of 3 on the road, and you guaranteed 10-2. So we'll see exactly how that goes. Oklahoma got blown out in Norman by South Carolina a year ago, and Shane Beamer has Oklahoma ties as well. So we'll see exactly what that looks like. Texas A&M's at Arkansas. This is a game. This is Bobby Petrino, I think's first home game or something like that. The game's on 3:30 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN, same time as the Ole Miss Georgia game. Listen, it's one of those things that Bobby Petrino is going to get somebody this year. It's just going to happen. I don't know who it's going to be. And I don't mean like Mississippi State. I think they're going to beat Mississippi State. But they're going to get somebody that they're not supposed to get, whether it's LSU or whether it's somebody like that. One of the bigger programs for Arkansas is going to get it, and it might be Texas A&M. Texas A&M is favored by 7.5 points. They've looked really good, and they have looked really good. But now that they have to go on the road, you have Arkansas, you have LSU, you have Missouri or something like that, it's going to get much more difficult for Texas A&M. Ole Miss is at Georgia. Georgia's favored by 6.5 points. This is a game that Ole Miss can win. This is a game that Ole Miss can lose. This is a game where the outcome is not decided before the game kicks off, which really the only other time that that's happened this season for Ole Miss was the LSU game. Ole Miss came out pretty good, and you get to play the underdog card for likely the only time this season. If you are wanting to play some disrespect or anything like that, remember Georgia put 50 on Ole Miss in 2023. Ole Miss's coaches, Ole Miss's players, and Ole Miss's fan base are going to be unbelievably jazzed for this game because this is a game that they think they can win. You saw Kirby celebrating on the medical table, dancing. This was not the behavior of a juggernaut. This was not the behavior of a 2023 Georgia coach. This is the behavior of somebody that felt like he stole a win at Jordan-Hare Stadium after he lost to the Alabama Crimson Tide, that he's excited. So Ole Miss has a real chance to get there. They need to start pretty well, and they need to take care of the football as well. Mississippi State's at Florida. Florida is favored by 9.5 points. Florida has looked better. They have looked better, but that's a lot of points for a team that is officially on quit watch. If Ole Miss or if Mississippi State beat Florida, I think you would see Billy Napier get canned. I think that's an inevitability at this point anyway, but we'll see exactly how that goes. Texas is a 12.5-point favorite at Kentucky. Kentucky is garbage. 7:00 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN. Texas has not been a juggernaut offensively, and Kentucky's pretty good defensively, but the problem lies with the fact that Kentucky is terrible offensively and Texas is really good defensively. So this is a game that Texas could win like 13-3 or something like that. I'm curious to see exactly how it goes, but I think Texas is going to lose to somebody that we're not expecting. I just think that somebody that we don't expect is going to get them. And this is kind of an opportunity for that to happen. It all depends on if there's a pick six, if there's a punt return for touchdown. If any of that happens, there's a real chance for the Kentucky Wildcats. Tennessee's at Alabama. Alabama's favored by 8.5 points. The game's on ABC at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. Tennessee has gotten to the point where they win this game in Knoxville, but they're still not winning the game in Bryant-Denny Stadium down in Tuscaloosa. I think it's going to be a little bit of a shootout. I'm curious to see exactly what it would look like. But Alabama, they're going for their fourth straight ranked victory. They beat Georgia. They beat Vanderbilt. They beat Missouri. Now you get Tennessee as part of this juggernaut stadium or schedule for the Alabama Crimson Tide. If Tennessee can pull off the upset, Alabama has 2 losses on the season. Alabama wins the game. Tennessee has 2 losses on the season. The loser of this game gets desperate really, really quick. So that's going to be fun to see. And then there's the Missouri Tigers at the Auburn Tigers. Auburn's actually favored by 1.5 points. Auburn's on quit watch. After the Georgia game, they are on absolute quit watch. And a loss to Missouri could result in Hugh Freeze getting let go. Auburn could be a little bit of a dumpster fire down on the plains. Games at 7:45 p.m. Eastern time on the SEC network. I am kind of curious to see exactly how that will look on the plains. Now, thank you so much for making Locked On Ole Miss your go-to source for Ole Miss sports. We pride ourselves on offering the most comprehensive perspectives, which is why we are the front door of Ole Miss. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. It helps the show, and it's absolutely free. Your support means the world to us. In another big moment on Locked On, college football fans Locked On and Fire TV are presenting College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview show. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation, alongside two-time AP Coach of the Year Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's panel of local experts. A college football preview only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. You can catch me likely on it this week with Ole Miss playing Georgia. Hotty toddy, everybody, and remember, analytics is just the old English word that means bad football. We'll see you tomorrow.